I am late. I apologize. I have been feeling unwell, but I have been blessed by this moment, this chapter, these characters, this story. Everything about reading this thing weekly is insane. The emotion, the action, the character work, so beautiful, so volatile, so precious to kind of dig your teeth into. So it's crazy to me that the focus is the lobotomy, the brain rot that comes to identifying characters. It's playful at first, and I love seeing that. It makes for a funny conversation, but then it spirals into actual observation, and that is so sad. People genuinely believing or portraying Hirohiko as a bum or someone that is useless is actually the worst thing that I have seen so far in this community. You might not care, you might not think it's serious, and really it's not. But I and many of you have exactly seen where this leads to, and it is not fun. Let me put it like this. Hirohiko is the best and saddest thing to happen in these chapters. Like, genuinely, the impact that this character has, how far he has come, the amount that he's willing to push forward is literally infinitely higher than every character in here. Hokuzono's work on building this character to make him vital, crucial to every piece of emotion that's flowing through this story currently is because of Hiko. I cannot reiterate his value enough. I cannot reiterate the type of character work that Hokuzono has done to make that possible. Arguably, Hiko is at the cusp of being one of Hokuzono's best written characters because he is so undeniably flexible. We have already seen just a slice of the endless amount of potential and ways that you can bend this character narratively, thematically, emotionally, even power-wise. This is someone that has barely wielded a sword, that has spent probably a total of 5 minutes with an enchanted blade, and he's already on the cusp of awakening a true realm. He's already changing the way the ability works. He's already pushing himself to the limit, also while being incredibly injured, while going up against someone with infinitely more experience than him, Chihiro, and going up against a war veteran that is considered like a god on the battlefield. The fact that Hiko didn't instantly die by these two is already an accomplishment at that, but that doesn't matter, right? His utilage of power is the most impressive we have seen in the story. Far beyond Sojo, I'll say that. Far beyond Chihiro, I'll say that too. But what continues to be the most impressive thing is how this sword, this power, is quite literally weaponized through his mindset and emotional state. You are seeing the full range of his emotions on this sword. He's wearing it on his sleeve. You're seeing slices of his childhood. Quite literally, the way he views the world is also changing the sword dynamically. He is the worst matchup for these abilities because he has no love in his heart. Those objects are just objects, and that does not work. So the sword is quite literally conforming and twisting into his own mentality, where the building starts to corrupt because he does not care about that building. Do you want to know the truth of it though? The big reveal or bombshell for this whole thing is the fact that he cares so much. He has so much care, so much love for Chihiro, for swordsmanship, for himself, mastering and surviving and evolving. I can't even explain how much love is on display here. For someone that has never had it, someone that's innocence has been lost as a child, someone that has constantly killed to survive, someone that has no value for life, for the first time, you're seeing him value it. For the first time, you're seeing love bloom so beautifully in so many different forms, in its most disgusting, corruptive, and self-imposed that you can imagine for Chihiro, for even Samura, for swordsmanship, for the abilities at play, and that's all while he's injured and learning and growing and evolving. Like, he has not spent more than a day with swords in general, let alone an enchanted blade. So you build all of this up. For the first time in his life, he's allowed to actually express himself. He's connecting with common ground and people, and then it all gets taken away from him. It all just snaps in front of his eyes. He's almost at the peak of reaching for it and it vanishes. It gets taken, it gets ripped away from him. I would cry too. All of those built up emotions just come flowing out uncontrollably. It's basically his whole life on display and or evolution, almost reaching the pinnacle of what is possible in such a short micro fragment of a time frame in the pure essence of desperation, and he just loses effortlessly, simply. Anyone would cry in that situation. Imagine you're in a sprint and you've worked so hard to be where you are. It's been your entire life and you're leading the pack, you're winning, and then right before you get to the finish line, right before you come first, someone else wins. Even though you've completed the race, you haven't won. Mentally, you're still at the beginning of the race now, knowing that someone has beaten you to the finish line. I cannot reiterate enough just how poetic Hirohiko's character is, how tragic it is. There is so much beautiful, beautiful work going into his character. So it feels a little bit upsetting when people just be like, he a bum, he sucks, that man's a loser. On a playful front, sure, no worries. But if you're serious about that, how? Do you have eyes? Do you have feelings? What is the problem here? I hope with every fiber in my being that Hokuzono continues to write this character the way that he does. Takes him all the way to the end of the story, because we are looking at a generational character. Someone that will be so memorable, so impactful to this story, to these characters, to this world, way beyond its conclusion. I need him to live. I think he will live. I need this character to keep moving forward, because honestly, just on a power level now, think about how far he could go. Think about this kid with a sword, properly trained, properly utilized, in the right place to thrive and evolve. He's a monster and absolutely terrifying. And that is the irony of it, is that he is arguably the most human character in here. Someone that has no value for life, someone that has killed to survive since a child. You would not think it would be him, yet he has found it, and it is love that has bloomed that. It's genuine love for Chihiro. Romantic, platonic, whatever way that you want to take it, it doesn't even matter. It is love at its purest, at its most potent, that it's changed him entirely. You know, it's a funny thing. Look at Hiko in this chapter and look at Chihiro. And if you were to describe what one's more human to me just visually, I'm going with Hiko. This man's crying after losing. That's like the most human trait you can have. Chihiro has grown exponentially, don't get me wrong. He's come out of his shell quite a bit. He's not on that revenge, tough edgeness path anymore. But still, for what we know about Hiko, and comparing these two visually, it's very funny. I gotta say though, Samura has had some beautiful iconography, beautiful symbolism, beautiful thematic presence, because holy, like we knew the Phoenix stuff. We knew the third ability, Suzaku, Troom Realm, malleable, you get it. What I didn't expect is the painter. I think it was such a beautiful way just to jump away from the fight for a moment to show someone else's perspective. Because really that's the point of this story, right? The external perspective of these quote unquote heroes. What does that look like? Is that a villain? Is that a god? Is that death descending upon me? Do you see the contrast that I'm about to make? The comparison? Originally, when Samura came flying in for the first time, quite literally the most horrifying experience you can imagine. That is the angel of death descending upon you. But then you get this painter's perspective that is so beautiful and horrifying and just godly, otherworldly. This phoenix rising from the ashes. There's so many interpretations of that painting, so many ways that you could take it. For me, I like to view it as Samura saving people, or at least trying to save people within the war. I think the hands reaching up is both friend and foe that have been afflicted by malediction. And malediction, I don't think can be cured by Samura's flames. Perhaps what better way to emphasize Samura's guilt and the sins of the war is him being confident that he can save people, but if malediction has spread too far, like a rot, like a cancer, there's no way that he can actually heal it. Do you know how depressing that painting suddenly becomes? When you see the painter originally, he lost an arm, almost like it's been cut off. When you see him within modern day talking about the painting, he has that same arm back healed. It makes me think that perhaps if you come in contact with malediction, it spreads on your body, you have to cut it off. Think of a zombie bite. within circumstances. It's on your hand or your arms or your legs, you can cut it off and probably survive. Then you have samura heal that back up and you're good to go. But if you get it on your chest, your head, any vital organ, there's no coming back from it. Of course, this is just one of perhaps many interpretations of that painting, and that's the beautiful side of it, right? We're all going to view it a little bit differently, and there's no right or wrong answer for it. I just think thematically it's very beautiful for Samura to visualize him this way as, you know, the phoenix, the healer, the mercy that this painter is talking about, but not everybody can be saved. And that is the utmost guilt that Samura suffers with. Even though he has this ability, even though he can heal this entire building that Hirohiko is starting to crush with his ability, which is absolutely insane. He couldn't heal the men, women, and children, or just the innocents involved with the spreading of malediction and the rot that comes from it. Of course, Samura would always win this situation. He has the most time with the swords. He is a veteran. He is incredibly powerful. I don't think there is a way to beat him unless you trick him. But Chihiro is realistically in the best position because not only does Samura know nothing about his sword, being that it was made after the war, but Chihiro also has a ability that's kind of like a copy or a deflect, where perhaps he could actually get the upper hand on Samura by using Suzaku, the healing ability. I can perfectly see a scenario of Chihiro hiding his blood loss, getting attacked by Samura, having it be a deathly blow, healing using Suzaku. All he needs to do is come in contact with the spirit energy, so most likely the flames that landed on Hiko and him, resurrect, heal it, and then use the drawing style to catch Samura off guard, who would be completely and unironically blind. He would be overly confident that Chihiro is dead and would not expect a thing. And that's if those two actually clash, which I would like to see, but we still have the Iori situation, which people pulled me up pronunciation-wise, Iori. I get it. I ain't Japanese. I'm doing my best though. I'm learning. Obviously, the battlefield has cleared the way for these two, and if they aren't scrapping, it's going to be a conversation, a lengthy one that explains everything that's going on, especially with Iori in the comfort of her father, because I need them to kind of rekindle, at least to some extent. Iori has a ton of trauma, ton of things that she suddenly remembers that are so emotionally complex, and she needs to have that moment with her father that's incredibly vulnerable, that breaks her down and that breaks him down on a very human level, like their relationship originally was. I need Samura to recognize the wrong steps that he took while also struggling to consume the guilt of the war, the choices he made, and pushing his daughter away into obscurity. It's a hard pill that he had to swallow. It was not the right pill to make. It was not his decision or his choice to make that for her. It's difficult. It's a complex thing, and I need them to partially hash it out or something. I have loved where this has gone. The visuals in here were gorgeous. Samura up in the sky, moon behind him, all of the bodies that are controlled by Hiko reaching up. Absolutely beautiful comparison back to the painting motif. I love that. The portrayal of Hiko is easily some of the best that Hokuzono has done so far, and I can see him hopefully escaping. Get Toto in there, teleport him out. He's lost an arm, he's lost his sword, he's back at square one, but bring him back more determined than ever. On a power front, eventually this boy has to get a win eventually, in some way, shape or form. I need him to build his confidence back up through that love and admiration and just cherishing what is going on. And of course, last but not least, Chihiro. And we're confronting the big, scary phoenix brick wall that is in front of us, known as Samura. There is tricks and ideas and utilage that Chihiro has that could easily take down Samura on a trickster front. In pure strength or speed or whatever, Chihiro's losing. Especially after seeing the revival phoenix stuff, which is most likely on a cooldown right now. However, I do not think Samura is dying here. I think that conversation lends itself towards malediction, Shinichi, Magatsumi, the whole stuff with Yura. I expect to see that eventually as well. So there is a lot more things at play, but beautiful, gorgeous, absolutely perfection.